The first thing you realize when you come to Flagler College is the stewardship of historic preservation. And you learn that very early on, and you get involved in the history of not only the building but of the college itself. And so it's part of our DNA, and you feel it immediately when you take on this position. It is our 50th year, so we're looking back into our history. But to start off from where it started off, with just a small class and an unaccredited institution, and what really struck me was the commitment of a few people, both our founders and the original trustees and the original presidents, Dr. Proctor and Dr. Abear, and the commitment that those few people put into making this place work. The early days were sort of a lesson in perseverance and commitment, and we wouldn't be here without them. That's why I'm so thankful to the founders, and just to see it grow over the years is just an amazing story. You know, you start off with 100 students and now you're at 2,500, but the number of buildings that have grown, the number of majors that have grown. I think it's grown in academic footprint as well. It's grown in its impact on the community. I think it's grown in its impact. We have over 18,000 alumni now. And so it's just grown over the course of 50 years into a very special place that's going to be here a long time.
I think being at Flagler was not coincidental. I was put in the place where caring was a good thing. I became really good friends with President Abear, and I said to him, do you ever walk around here and wonder how all this happened? He said, every day. It's just such an inspirational story, and I think it's really a worthy and appropriate moment to celebrate what Flagler is and what it has become. Wow, 50 years. That's really amazing. In these first 50 years, it was a really amazing story of success and triumph against enormous odds. That became a place where you were encouraged to care about people, and I find that to just be pretty special. You know that expression that if you can find a job you love, you never work a day in your life? I've never worked a day in my life. It's just been a blast. I just have so much fun.
There's a saying that sort of an inheritance is what you leave to people, and a legacy is what you leave within people. And what I hope that I leave in my students is a quest for high expectations and a standard of excellence. That's something that I demand of myself, and it certainly is something I demand of my students. One of the things that I think is very, very important in a college setting is the people that we're serving are the students. And while we might know some things that might be beneficial for them, things that they think are important, that we need to know those, and the only way that we can know those is if they use their voices to share those. And in almost every case when they do that, I think that they find that the administration and the college as a whole are being very, very responsive.
The first thing you realize when you come to Flagler College is this, I wouldn't call it an obligation, I'd call it a stewardship of historic preservation. And you learn that very early on, and you get involved in the history of not only the building but of the college itself. And so It's part of our DNA, and you feel it immediately when you take on this position.
I do historic preservation for a living. I saw the campus the first time when I had finished grad school and fell in love with it. Flagler is recognized for its commitment to historic preservation. Certainly made the greatest commitment of any college in Florida, and it has been recognized throughout the United States for that. We were featured with Harvard and UMass a couple of years ago because everybody knows those New England schools have big old campuses, but how do you deal with one again in the middle of swampy, hot climate? I think that certainly the preservation of the Ponce led the way. You know, we have the largest collection of Tiffany stained glass windows in the world. We have murals that were reproduced in the Library of Congress. Our murals that are in the rotunda and the dining hall are very famous. So that's a pretty extraordinary commitment from any institution of any variety to make. But I think the fact that the college also continued to be offered or acquired additional buildings that relate to the Hotel Ponce de Leon demonstrates that we can adapt all sorts of buildings for academic purposes.
Historic preservation has always been, since the very beginning, it's part of our mission statement. It's part of our identity as a college, and so we'll always be good stewards of the historic preservation of this building.
We tried to submit award nominations for our projects to really show how you can preserve and actively reuse historic buildings. So the college has won, I believe, 25 awards over time for that. The Ponce became a National Historic Landmark in 2006, so I helped to prepare the nomination for that, which lets the college and therefore the building benefit from additional fundraising efforts. One of the first projects was the Molly Wiley Art Building. Became a total of a $7.5 million project. But we've put together a number of new construction projects and rehabilitation projects, a major emphasis in the last 20 years, certainly started 30 years ago in 1988 with the 100th anniversary of the hotel, which was also the 20th anniversary of the college. So they did a big centennial event and did restoration on the dining room and the grand spaces. And then the college has branched out to do additional buildings since that time.
My name is Victor Cheney, and I am the physical plant superintendent for Flagler College. When I first came here, we didn't have the student center, we didn't have the FEC dormitory or the Hebert Hall, the parking garage. We didn't have the human resources office, and we've just about doubled the square footage. We're maintaining the campus as far as the internal and outside structures. We are constantly looking at ways that we can improve energy. We're looking at ways that we can improve the structure without taking away from the historical value of it. We're constantly changing and upgrading to LED lighting, which is another big savings. I mean, like where we used to use 60-watt bulbs, we're down to 3.5 watts, producing the same amount of light. So we've made a lot of advancements, and I don't think that the students realize just how much we've done, because we've done it, we haven't really advertised it, we've just done it to improve and cut the costs. And we're controlling the usage of air conditioning and heat based on whether people are going to be in those buildings or not. So if classes are over with, we're trying to shut things down so that we can save energy. I think the campus is going to be a leader in the sustainability aspects.
When you think what would have happened if Flagler not taken on that stewardship, what could have happened to this beautiful building and the other beautiful buildings, you have a great sense of pride in what people have accomplished. You truly get to see right off the bat that it's a family. It's more than just a college, it's a family. I've been an educator all my life, and so focusing on the students and watching them grow and develop from when they're freshmen to where they're seniors, that's this dramatic transformation of a young adult. And then seeing them going out in the community and being prepared is a great source of pride for us. And as an educator, that gives me purpose. That's why we exist.
If I could ask you to please hold your spike aloft. We use this railroad spike to signify the start of your legacy.
The Flagler community, to me, or to try to pin it down, and obviously it's not one thing. Everyone has their own different subjective experience of the Flagler community, but for me, what it represents is a very tight-knit kind of community where everyone exists within kind of a limited pool, but the advantage to being in this limited pool is that everyone has a very invigorating intellectual and academic experience if they want to pursue that. You can have very close relations with your teachers. I'm in journalism and international relations, so with almost all of my professors, I'm able to have a very close, almost one-on-one relationship. Be a genius means not to be better than anyone else, but to see a target that no one else sees. And I think you can elope that same sort of idea into being a trailblazer. If you're a trailblazer, you're someone who does not try to work within a system. They don't try to go for the same goals as everyone else. They see different goals entirely. They're walking to the beat of a different drummer. The professors really want to know what you want in your life. They constantly will ask you, what is your vision for your life? What kind of stuff do you want to do? I suppose at a larger technical school, the question is, okay, how are we going to bring you into this industry? What do we need to change about you to make you fit into a mold? But here, the cool thing is that the teachers say, no, what do you want out of your life, and how can we actualize the particular vision that you have for your life and make it come true? So that's why the teachers are working one-on-one with you. They ask, well, what kind of stuff do you want to do? How can we push you towards that?
We are part of what St. Augustine is now, and I think we're an essential part of it. And when I talk to leadership in the city commissioners, they agree. And we have become part of what St. Augustine is through our efforts. And so many of our students are involved in the community. You know, interestingly, I didn't know this before, but so many of our students, when they graduate, they stay in St. Augustine, and many of them start businesses on their own. And so you see all these alumni with small businesses in the local community because they come, as all of us have, and fall in love with the community of St. Augustine, and they just want to stay. And so we have our footprint all over the place.